Shri Gurubhyo Namaha children, I welcome you all to our online English class. In today's class, we are going to see a lesson from your Moments English book children. It is chapter 8 of your Moments English book, A House is Not a Home, written by Zan Gaudioso. Okay, this lesson is about a teenager children and how he is crossing his adolescence with insecurity problems is a lesson, and how he is facing challenges and how he is coming out of all those challenges are the part of the lesson. Let us go inside and see the chapter children. My first year of high school felt awkward. So this story is narrated by the boy himself. So he is starting to say about his school experience. Okay, his first year of high school felt awkward. Awkward means something which is not comfortable, not a good experience. It was awkward. After leaving junior high at the head of my class with all the seniority the upper grade levels could afford me, it felt strange starting over as a freshman. So here we can see the boy, he has finished his junior school and now he is moving on to the high school. So he has to be new to that place, and so long he had been accustomed to one school and now he is switching over to a new environment. So how he is facing the environment? He says that it is awkward. The school was twice as big as my old school, and to make matters worse, my closest friends were sent to a different high school. I felt very isolated. So he is moving on to the big school and from junior to the high school, and this school is relatively bigger in size and everything was new to him, and all of his friends had been they had moved to some other high school, and he felt very isolated. Isolated means lonely. He felt very lonely because he is new and all alone in the new place. Isolated means lonely. Okay. And here he says as a freshman because he is new to that place. I missed my old teachers so much that I would go back and visit them. They would encourage me to get involved in school activities so that I could meet new people. So this boy was he was like feeling so difficult and lonely inside. So what he would do, he would go to his teachers of junior school, okay, so that he could speak with them, tell his problems, and those teachers would advise him, okay, to get involved in the new school, participate in activities such that it will take his mind off the loneliness. They told me that in time I would adjust and probably end up loving my new school more than I had my old one. So the teachers told him, okay, to get involved in activities, speak with new people, gain new friends, and they also assured him that he might like the new school much more than the old one. Okay, only if he is open to new things, he'd get accustomed to it. Okay, he cannot keep his door closed and feel lonely all the time. Okay, and complain also. So the teachers ask him to be open-minded, go and get along with all the others, gain new friends and enjoy the new environment. Might be there is something more happier, okay, than the previous one. They made me promise that when that happened, I would still come by and visit them from time to time. I understood the psychology in what they were saying, but I took some comfort in it nonetheless. So the teacher had promised, okay, they had taken the promise from the child that if even though he is starting to like and love the new school, he has to return back to meet the teachers. So that was the promise taken by the teachers from him. So he also felt relieved and comforted when the teachers reassured him of the new environment. One Sunday afternoon, not long after I had started high school, I was sitting at home at our dining room table doing homework. It was a cold and windy fall day, and we had a fire going in our fireplace. So it was a weekend Sunday afternoon, and this boy was sitting in a dining room table and he was doing some homework. And at that time he has joined the high school. So he is fresh to the high school, and on such a Sunday he was sitting on the dining room table and he was doing some homework. As usual, my red tabby cat was lying on top of all my papers, purring loudly and occasionally swatting at my pen for entertainment's sake. So while this boy, he was doing his homework, the fireplace was there and the climate was so cold, the fireplace was on, and there was a cat, he had a pet cat named Tabby. That Tabby, what it would do, it sat, it would sit on all the papers, on all the homework, and occasionally it would swat him. Swat him is this action of the cat, it would gently tap, for entertainment's sake, which means what, it would get bored on seeing the boy always engaged in the homework and not playing with him. So what he would do, he would swat him so that he would come and play. She was never far from me. I had rescued her when she was a kitten, and somehow she knew that I was the one responsible for giving her the good life. So this tabby cat, how it had come to the narrator is, the narrator had rescued this cat sometime before when she was a kitten. And the kitten is so attached to the narrator. Why? Because it was him who rescued it. So it was feeling that close relationship with the narrator. My mother kept stoking the fire to keep the house nice and warm. So what the mother was doing, I already told you, the climate was a bit chilly outside, so the fireplace was on. This mother was stoking the fire. Stoking the fire is, here you could see the picture, stoking is making the fire to burn more actively. Either you blow it or you adjust a stick so that the fire would start burning. So she was stoking it to keep the house warm. Suddenly I smelled something strange, and then I noticed it. Smoke pouring in through the seams of the ceiling. So while he was sitting and engaging himself in the homework, he was able to smell the smoke. And on just checking, he was able to find the smoke was pouring in. Pouring in means what? It was coming through the seams of the ceiling. So the corners of the ceilings are the seams of the ceiling. So the corners, from the corners, the steam started flowing inside the room. So pouring is flowing. So here seams means the corners or the open crevices of the ceiling. The smoke began to fill the room so quickly that we could barely see. So the smoke started filling in too quickly. It was rapid. It became so cloudy and they were not able to see each other. It was so misty inside. Groping our way to the front door, we all ran out into the front yard. By the time we made our way outside, the whole roof was engulfed in flame and it was spreading quickly. So they saw this fire and the smoke had filled the room. They didn't know what to do. They immediately thought running out of the room would be the safest thing to do. So they rushed towards the front yard. And by the time they could go outside and see, they saw the fire had engulfed. Engulfed means what? Completely covered. Engulfed means the fire had completely covered the house. It was spread. The flames were spreading too fast. I ran to the neighbors to call the fire department while I watched my mother run back into the house. So this boy didn't know what to do. He was running towards the neighbor's place so that he could call the fire department. And when he turned back to look at his mother, this mother, she was running inside the house. So this boy was worried to see his mother running inside a active fire house. My mother then ran out of the house carrying a small metal box full of important documents. She dropped the case on the lawn and, in a crazed state, ran back into the house. So this mother, you could see what she was trying to do. So she was rushing to save important things from the house. She knows that the fire would rapidly cover the entire house and everything would be burned down. So she wanted to save some important things of the house. So she was rushing inside the house and she came out carrying a metal box, a suitcase containing the documents. And she put it in the lawn and again she ran back into the house. In a crazed state means what? She was very tense. She didn't know what to do the next. Okay, she was running like she was crazy. I knew what she was after. My father had died when I was young, and I was certain that she was not going to let his pictures and letters go up in flames. So this boy was able to arrive at some conclusion why this mother was doing, what was she after. Okay, this mother, the second time she is rushing inside the house, and this time he knows that the mother is willing to save the pictures of her father. The pictures of the narrator's father or her husband, because he had died when this boy was young. So she wanted to preserve his letters and pictures. She didn't want them to get burnt. They were the only things that she had to remember him by. Still, I screamed at her, "Mom, no." So this boy is aware, okay, that his father has died and only the pictures and only the letters of him, okay, they have in memory of him. And the mother was trying to save those things. This boy knew this, but he wanted to stop his mother because it is potentially dangerous to enter inside a fireplace. I was about to run after her when I felt a large hand hold me back. It was a fireman. I hadn't even noticed that the street had already filled with the fire trucks. So he was about to run after his mother because this time he was worried the fire could harm his mother. So he was rushing behind the mother. Immediately there was a hand, okay, which was holding him back. When he turned back to look, what was that? It was a fireman. The fire people have come. Okay, the streets were already filled with trucks. The fire trucks had already come. The fire people have already started their work. So this boy, out of tension, didn't pay attention to all those things. Only after a man clutched his hand, he noticed that the fire people have come. I was trying to free myself from his grasp, yelling, "You don't understand. My mother's in there." He held on to me while other firefighters ran into the house. So when this man, okay, when the fireman held his hands, this boy shouted at him, telling that his mother is there inside. He needed to go in and help her out. So this man, one fireman, was holding the boy and the other men ran inside the house to save the mother. He knew that I wasn't acting very logically and that if he were to let go, I would run. He was right. "It's all right, they'll get her," he said. So the fire people are also able to understand why this boy was yelling at them. Okay, he wanted to save his mother, but they reassured this boy that nothing would happen to the mother and people have gone to rescue her. He wrapped a blanket around me and sat me down in our car. Soon after that, a fireman emerged from our house with my mom in a tow. He quickly took her over the truck and put an oxygen mask on her. So one fireman, what he did, he covered this boy with a blanket and he comforted him. He made him sit in the car. And the fireman, the other man who went to rescue the mother, he is now coming out with the mother and she was also covered with a blanket, and they take her to the truck and she was given an oxygen mask because she would be suffocating inside the house. Yes or no? There wouldn't be any oxygen inside the house, only smoke would have filled there. So, she would be needing oxygen. So, they take her to the ventilator. I ran over and hugged her. All those times I ever argued with her and hated her vanished at the thought of losing her. And I already told you this boy was a teenager, and definitely a problem of a teenager would be their parents. They wouldn't like their parents and their treatment towards the children. Okay, they hate it when the parents scold. So this boy also hated his mother, and the thought of losing her, okay, when she ran inside the house, made him forget all the hatedness. Okay, he didn't want to lose his mother. She is going to be okay, said the fireman. She just inhaled a little smoke, and then he ran back to fight the fire while my mother and I sat there dazed. So the fireman reassured that the mother is going to be okay, and she is put on the ventilator just because she has inhaled some smoke and she needed some oxygen, and otherwise the mother was fine. So they leave the mother and the son here, and they go back to rescue the house. And the mother and the son, they sat down and they gazed at their house burning down. Dazed means looking, okay, gazing. They were watching the house being burnt. And vanished means disappeared. Yes? I remember watching my house burn down and thinking that there was nothing I could do about it. So they both were sitting and they were watching the house burning down, and there was nothing that they could do about it. They simply sat and watched the house burning down. Yes, children, I hope so far you would have understood. We will continue the remaining part of the lesson in the next session, children. And before closing, please do subscribe our YouTube channel for more updates. See you, children.